Do you play or do you play to win? Do you
Mm-hmm.
play so the largest possible number of people have a good time, or do you play to win?
Mm.
This is collaborative play.
Um, we're we're having a small little situation with my women's league. I have envisioned for my women's league where it's a fun place to play for recreational hockey players. It's called a non-slapshot league, and we've expanded from 8 to 10 teams. And within that expansion, I've been trying to really work with the managers on building their teams.
Mm.
One of the stipulations that I'm not looking for higher level players. And so some of them have been sandbagging a little bit. Some of them haven't been sandbagging a little bit. And I got 35 to 40 new players. Sandbagging's when you're really good, but you come out, you only play 50%.
Ah, okay.
You only play 50%. So I've been out every night. And what I do is I evaluate all the players that are out. And then, of course, I got all these red flags. I have been talking to a couple of the managers about their players. And of course, last night, one of the players who was sandbagging it decided to step it up last night. That team's very unhappy. I got a little bit of the third degree. Players were yelling at me. They're like, "You're just here for business. You just want our money." I'm like, "You really don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know that I fought for this league last year where there was no ice. We had no ice. I got a lawyer to pay to get our ice back. We learned a lot from last year. And some of the players last year, I said, couldn't come back. One of them was from your team. I understand that. I also understand that there's players on these other teams that have come in that possibly a little bit better than I anticipated. Some of these players that come in don't really tell the truth either. So there's a lot of new players I get to know. So when I'm watching, yeah, they play a little bit like this in game one. All right, that's fine. But here we are. We're like game 4 or game 5.
Yep.
All of a sudden the truth starts to come out.
And
so
how many
then
more games in your season?
there's 13 total. So we got 9
Okay.
left. We
Okay.
got 9 left.
Okay.
And it's more so I mix from 25 up. 25 up. Because I take the female hockey players that are still new to the game. I don't mean new to skating. They should be able to skate. I have this younger group. They're young 30s. And so they come out to my adult skills for 2 hours. They've been working on their how to play the game and all that. So they're out been improving their skills. But one of the skills they're lacking is give and goes, team play, and shooting. They can't shoot, but they can skate. That's the difference. So one of the little things, my vision is to still work with it. So do I have 45 and over? It's really not the age of the person I'm looking for. It's the character of the person I'm looking for. That is like the ultimate, really what we're looking for. Whenever I go up to my pickup skate, and I heard even on the radio yesterday on 1050 that they're looking for a pickup skate. They're like, I'm not joining a league. I'm not trying to be a top goal scorer. I just want a good bunch of guys. We go out, we have fun. That's it. I don't want to be slashed. I don't want to this. I don't want that. So some of these younger girls who want to call it younger or just better players who are new to the league and I can tell I can step it up. They just need, I feel that for now that I can give them either a red card, orange card, yellow card. Maybe you can help me out with this. How do I move forward? And just number one, I have to have a conversation with them. I realize that. And we're at that point right now. And saying that your level is up here, but the league's really down here. So when you're playing, you need to modify your game a little bit. I realized that in addition to you on this team, there's some other girls on some other teams as well that need to be talked to. That's one approach. If it gets to the point where they don't want to, then there's another action. So it's difficult because we're right in the middle of the league now. I've been trying to really work with these managers, and I know for them it's difficult to try to get players into the league. We bring these new players, and then they're not going to do anything about it. Just come on in the league. But I do care about this league, and I do have a vision for this league. And I find it very difficult when other people try to tell you what your vision is. Does that make sense, Susan?
Yep. They're taking away your voice.
Taking away my voice. That's right. Yeah, I got a little bit of work to do. Do you have any suggestions?
Oh, none of this is easy. So I know that in House League, they try and make the teams balance, but that's not what this is about. If it were about team balance, you could just make sure that you have the same number of high-level players on each team, but that's not it at all. You want everybody to have a chance to play. You don't want that one good player to run off with the puck
Mm-hmm.
every single time,
Mm-hmm.
because then you don't learn good hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I think so storytelling, you have to get across your narrative. So my
Mm-hmm.
husband's a vice president in a tech company.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about leadership and how you lead people. He says one
Mm-hmm.
of the most valuable things he does is he creates a narrative and he tells it over and over again until people tell the narrative to themselves and to each other.
Mm-hmm.
He commented that this was not something that his dad did. I said, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure that even we did it 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the last few years, I've had training from Fortune 500 companies, and it was all soft skills, all about managing people. None of the training that I got as a leader had to do with anything technical, like a spreadsheet or a presentation. It was all soft skills training. In the last 3 years, 4 years now, I've had weeks and weeks, literally weeks, where I was taken out of work and dedicated to learning soft skills. I think this
Mm-hmm.
storytelling that says here, literally stories, beginning, middle, and end. There's a flow, there's a why. People move through the story, and then people
Mm-hmm.
can understand where you're coming from. If you tell that same story, then people get it. If they don't get it, or if it's not a story that they want for themselves, then they can make choices. Then you say, I want something else. But I think
Mm-hmm.
for you, that's a tool.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great suggestion. I realize that people just want to be heard, which is number one. But in addition to that, they want to know where you're going. What are you really doing? Where do you want to take this? What are you going to do now? What is the next step as you're moving forward? This problem, if you want to call it a problem, or situation that comes up with these better players, it's every year. It's every year and it's every league. That's just the way it is. If I had another league on a Wednesday night with another 10 teams, I can move players around if I want to call it that, or move teams around. Your team's too good, I'm going to move you over to this group. Your team is not as good, I can move you down to here. So it's so hard to balance it out. But in addition to that, I think you're absolutely right. You got to be telling your story over and over again. And whether it's to the team leader or to the entire team. And it's consistent and constant all the time. So it, the challenging thing I find is that I'm at the rink all the time and the players just, they come in and go, come in and go. Some will stop to say hi, or some will come over and blast you on what they don't like. I was wondering if you could help explain to me something. No, I don't like this. I don't like that. What are you going to do about it? But you're just here for yourself. It's so wrong. So, how do you get the story across rather than trying to tell it 100 times to each and every person, which you probably have to do in that one-on-one or one to group? Do you memo it out? Do people really read memos?
It depends on your culture because I've been in places where people read memos and I've been in places where people don't read memos. If you send out memos regularly and people do read those memos, and then you can memo it out. But you can also have a Zoom meeting. You can say, hey, a kickoff for the year.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep that recording around. Nobody ever watches the recording, but you can keep it around. You can also, like, this is something the managers learn. So this is how so you're a second line manager.
Oh, yeah.
If you can push this narrative into the managers, they will start repeating it for you. They will repeat it to themselves and they will help you filter out people.
Because I realize not every league's going to be for every person. I completely
That's right.
understand that. But I do want my leagues fun and safe. I don't want them. And some of the ladies who are, say, 40 plus, some are 50 plus, some are 60 plus, playing with the younger ones, there's still girls that are 40, 50, 60 that can skate pretty good too, right? Yeah. But it's the ones that kind of have that, I need to slow down here. I need to not be so aggressive. Maybe that's a story I need to communicate to them as well. This is our vision. This is our story. And these are small things that need to be done as you're playing. It's not a win at all cost league and
Mm-hmm.
run people over type of league. It's
Mm-hmm.
you got to know when to back off, and you can still play good hockey. Don't get me wrong, but by the same token, we can be a little bit more conscious and use our senses on. All right, this player is not as strong. I need to be a little bit more careful here to steal the puck from her. That doesn't mean you just let that player get away, but in addition to that, if it's two players of equal skill, then maybe they recognize that and they'll go in and attack a little bit differently.
Yeah. There's a conference style called Open Conference, and trying to remember the name of the guy who created it. It's Harrison. I don't remember his last name. There's two laws that he has. One is the right people will show up, and two is the law of 2 feet. You have 2 feet, use them. Take yourself to the right place.
Mm-hmm.
It's partly your responsibility to create the space that you're in.
How do you do that?
You give people permission. You say, okay, so I'll give you the example of this open conference technology.
Sure. Okay.
It's a conference with no agenda. You know that there's a topic, and we use it for agile software development. It's very closely associated with that in the tech world.
Mm.
On day one, you don't know what the sessions are. We have rooms, we have people. The very first thing you do is that you have setting the stage. You get everybody who's participating in the conference in a circle, sitting in a chair, and you can look at everybody. You can make eye contact with everyone. The facilitator stands in the middle. They walk around, and the facilitator walks in a circle so that you watch her walk in a circle, or him. The purpose is to draw people together. And I've done this over Zoom as well.
Okay.
I'm not the best facilitator in the world, but I've done this stage setting over Zoom because pandemic. You do what you have to do. I said, I know that we mostly operate without our cameras on. For this open plenary, for this initial opening plenary, I would like us to have our cameras on just for setting the stage. And she goes over the different rules of the space. What is the hope? What we're trying to get to? And what the rules are, like laws of 2 feet, the right people show up, butterflies versus bees. She starts to build that connection between the people. The next step in the process is that we start to figure out what the sessions are. So we have we use a wall and we use stickies. Some people say, I want to learn whatever, and then people offer to teach them. Other people say, I've learned a thing and I want to share it. Who wants to hear it? Then you have the stickies. You attach your name to a topic, and the most popular topics get picked, and then you try and make sure that everyone gets them. So you have rooms of different sizes, and then you just start slotting them into times. It doesn't mean that only the popular sessions get run. You sometimes have sessions with 3 people because you want something for everybody at various times. So it depends on how many people you have, how many rooms, but it's very organic. You come back at lunchtime and you do the circle thing. You come back at the end of the day and you do the circle thing. You check in with each other about what the process was like, and you make eye contact and say, I want you, here are my hopes, here are my fears, this is what I want. There's a certain amount of vulnerability. A skilled facilitator will bring people together to do that. This is just one example. It's not the only way to do it. It's a way that I have done it. If an amateur like me can get it to work, then there's something there.
I think that's wonderful. I'm glad that you were able to explain that. It's very simple. It's very clear. I think the first step is connecting. We want to be able to connect with people. As we connect, we need to understand really their world on how they see whatever topic that is, all the way from the body, mind, and spirit, we call it. But we need to understand and connect with them.
Yeah.
The one thing I find when I'm trying to connect and understand someone is that they go on forever. How do you say, okay, I understand where you're going. We need to go back and forth here, where some people get so emotional, wrapped up, and they just keep going and going. I'm like, How do you stop someone like that in there so that you can work with them, not just it feels like a one-sided bully action?
Yeah, this is a good question. Firstly, I think you always need to hear people, but it's, at some point you can't do it indefinitely
Hmm.
because finite time, at a certain point, it becomes not productive. It becomes emotionally costly for yourself, especially if you're being blasted.
Hmm.
I think it requires three things. One is you need a certain amount of emotional regulation on that person's part.
Hmm.
If they're not capable of emotional regulation, it's hard to move to the next stage. People have lost a lot of emotional regulation during COVID.
Hmm.
They're a little bit more disordered in their emotions. Like you can see it in the driving. They have more anxiety, less patience. They do things that are not optimal. And it's a lack of empathy. They've got some mental model of you, of the situation or whatever, especially these people who are getting you on blast. Oh, I don't like this. Are you going to change it? Been, they have a mental model of you that has insufficient data. It's not rooted in reality because they haven't talked to you. They've been arguing with you in their head for
Hmm.
weeks.
Great. They go to bed with me in their head. Wonderful.
Right? So we got to
In a wrong
replace.
way.
Yeah.
In a wrong way. Bet you that argument starts on Monday before the Tuesday hockey game. Than parents and coaches
Yeah.
and hockey players, right?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes I'm always wondering what do we need a little bit more data? Do we need to watch a little bit more? Or do you see one situation happen? Oh my gosh, we have to get right on that. That is the worst we'd ever seen. We don't know. Just because something happened once doesn't mean that's always going to happen
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just how, and there's so much to communicate. You feel like I need a break sometimes.
Yes.
But by
So
the same action, you got to I'm at the games. I'm there. You want to talk to me? That's fine. I went to the front lobby. Let's have it out. I was trying to say, now, is it possible that you didn't hear the referee correctly? Because the one woman had said, I'm reffing. What's the big deal? It's just a women's league. I was like, are you sure? Is it possible you didn't hear that correctly? It was someone else said it, and then they said it to me. So it's like second language. I said, oh, okay. I didn't find that person, but I said to my referee, I said, they're saying that you're you're demeaning women's hockey, that it's just women's hockey. What's the big deal? He says, no. The one lady came up to me on their team and says, where are your badges? Because between September and May, I just learned this, they all wear their Canada hockey badges. That is when they work for the GTHL, the Scarborough, not the Scarborough, but the girls hockey, OWHA, and all these different leagues. That is when Canadian hockey operates from September to May or end of March, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
From the end of March to end of August, they're like independent.
Mhm.
And all the referees have to take all their badges off. And the ones that leave it on incorrectly shouldn't have them on
Mhm.
because they're not part of Hockey Canada.
Mhm.
So what my referee said, I'm not part of Hockey Canada because this is not a Hockey Canada league. This is a private league, and that's what it is. And boy, you talk about someone just twist that story around like a pretzel.
Mhm.
That's what they're doing. They're twisting everything
Mhm.
into what they're finding, which is incorrect. And it's hard to find it very difficult to communicate with someone like that. They have a
So
twisted story, and you're trying to.
self-regulation, self-regulation,
Mhm.
some actual reality. You need some empathy. I guess maybe a fourth thing is you need to have, I think this is how you change from the rant to problem solving. You have to have a common goal. Because if their goal is just to unload, you're never going to get to problem solving.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So if the person's just there to unload, then all of a sudden they're not looking towards a solution. They're just very, yeah. So you got to listen, understand. How do we move forward? What's the solution?
Sometimes that's all they need.
Hmm.
Sometimes they unload and then it's done. I don't need you to do anything different. I've let you know maybe something changes, maybe something doesn't.
You find that with coaches. I know with coaching, I remember one parent came up to me and gave me like, I always find that they don't, hey, can I have a word with you? That was like 1 in 100 parents would do that. Can I have a word with you? It's always attack. And the parent said to me, I can understand that all you want to do is play all your friends' kids on the power play and the penalty killing. My son's not getting any ice time on the PP and PK. I said to the gentleman, I said, that's incorrect. I said, usually we have this 24-hour rule. I'll call you tomorrow because you're heated. I can tell you're heated. But let's get through it right now. Can we get the game sheet? The game sheet came over and I said, here's the game sheet. I just want to know where the power play and where the PK was. He goes, what are you talking about? He says, because neither team had a penalty. If neither team had a penalty tonight, there's no power play and there's no penalty killing. Well, he took that game sheet, he ripped it up, he threw it away, and he goes, I know there was a power play. And that was that. I'm thinking, okay. Interesting. I find what you're saying is that these people are stuck in their story. And it might not be just the one night. He's looking out and however he's envisioning it, he's creating the story and that it's always the person in charge's fault. So the person who was in charge of that, I'm the head coach, would be me. So I would be in fault. It's not about trying to prove him wrong. Maybe I should not have tried to prove him wrong, but I knew there was no penalties that night. And this was bigger than what it was. So I needed to come back and revisit and have another conversation with him moving forward. What's on your mind? What's your story? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Let's move towards a solution. Let's talk this out. And I'm all for that. When it becomes all finger pointing and it's you, it's your fault, it's this, then like you said, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to maneuver. There's no flexibility.
What I like about that story is that you were right, but there was no value in you being right.
He was attacking me. Okay, I'm going to come back and here are the facts.
Yeah.
How do you like it? Right? My whole vision and story for coaching is that I want to help every kid in that dressing room. And each and every one of those kids are different. They're different in their fears. They're different in their strengths. They're different in whether they are outgoing individuals or they're introverts. How do we make them become more of a person in their growth?
Yeah.
And to me, the wins and losses, yeah, sure, it's nice to win. Yeah, sure, it's nice to have some kids score all the goals or whatever. But in the end, that's not it. Is that we create better human beings. And if we can win a lot of games as a team, that's even better. That is really my vision for coaching.
Yep, completely agree with that. I think the winning and losing is a means to an end, which is making better people.
Yeah. So when you go out to play pickup hockey and you're losing, you're like going, girls, we're a little bit behind. Maybe we can talk to Dave. Maybe we can find a solution on how things are. Maybe we can find a solution.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
When I play, I want to have fun. Yeah.
I want to have fun, and we're not having fun.
Yeah.
We're not having fun. Could you control the narrative that way when you call this person or speak to this person rather than, hey, I'd like to speak to you and find out where you are? I guess that only works if they have that story in their head. If they don't have that story, you get the other story.
Yeah, there's also something different, which I call seizing the initiative. You get this guy on the phone, you talk first. You get your story out there. It's, hey, so-and-so, we got off on the wrong foot. I thought, let's start by getting to know each other better. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Dave. I've been doing this, that, and the other thing for hockey. My goals when I coach hockey are like this, and this is how it plays out for this particular team. Your child, your son or daughter, I notice that they're like this, and here's how I think it would be really beneficial for them to X, Y, Z. What do you think?
Absolutely. Because you want to get that conversation working with that parent on how do we solve something together? Because really that's what we're here to do. We're here to work together. And potentially in my other leagues, whether it's the co-ed leagues on Wednesday, Thursday, or the women's league, it's that same thing. It's, I have my vision. I need my story. I do have a story. I do have a story for this women's league. And it is about fun and respect. Maybe they don't all hear it. Maybe I don't write it well enough and they need to hear that story. It's difficult because not everyone has the time to listen. They want to sign up. They want to come out. They want to play. oh, something's not right. I'm going in with the iron fist. You know what? Maybe I'm learning. What I'm learning is that I need to change right from the get-go. Maybe I need to create a video. Maybe I need to create something that I can send to them and they can watch at any time about who
Yeah,
I am
like
and my vision.
we could make a video.
Rather than having a Zoom meeting Wednesday at 8 o'clock, how many people can make that? 10. Because I got family, I got other activities, I got to drive my 2 kids, it's the I got.
So two things. One, you can make it an advertising video saying, "Hey, come join my league. This is what I have on offer." So you get your
Right.
story out there. We can take the camera into the rink and we can see
Interview
it,
a couple players.
or be whatever. But
Mm,
also the Zoom video, when you get 10%, it's the right people show up. That's 10% more than if you didn't do the Zoom video.
right.
And then you get your story into their heads and they'll repeat it when something comes up.
So one of their players gets all upset and they can go, well, no, no, that's not what it is. This is what it is.
Yeah.
This is his story.
Maybe they don't want to take them on directly. Say, you should talk to Dave. You should talk to Dave.
hmm Yeah, he'll listen.
Yeah.
He'll work with you. He'll tell you the story and how it all works. It's probably the biggest thing is these players that are up here. And it's now what do I do? Now what do I do with them, right?
How many
Pretty
of
hard
them
to
do you
pick.
have?
About 2 per team.
So you have 20 total.
And one team has 0.
Okay, so 18. You have one team's worth.
Yeah.
Not
But some are 2 or 3, so it's not just 2, it's 2 or 3. It's the ones I'm concerned about are the younger ones that play. They're about 25, but they're good. You know what I mean? They just don't know how to play. They know how to play hockey. That's not what I'm saying. They don't know how to adjust to play with a mixed group. We'll call it
Yeah.
that. So they think it's just a run and gun, go from one end to the other end. If I run over someone, get out of my way. What are you doing? That's not the way it is.
So what you want is a collaborative style of play.
Right.
This is very hard because so much of what we have, games, TV, whatever, is not about collaboration. It's about contention. I'm going to win. I play to win. Do you play to play or do you play to win? Do you play so the largest possible number of people have a good time, or do you play to win? This is collaborative play.
That's difficult. Yeah.
So this is the difference between, I don't know, I'll give you some examples of collaborative play, and they're not very common. A box of Lego bricks is collaborative play. Minecraft is collaborative play, like these open worlds. You can use the box of Lego bricks in a way that's very competitive, but you impose your rules on top. Most of what we do in business, people succeed through collaboration, right? When you work together, we work together to achieve this. This is a very hard thing to push, especially in sport, because so much of sport is, I got to win the cup. We just finished the Stanley Cup. There was like I don't want to say a fight, but a pretty serious scrabble at one of the games. Like people were invested. They really pour their hearts into this because they want to win. And that's how people get judged. Especially if your younger women have been playing a good career in high skill. This is a different gear. This is a different kind of game.
It's interesting, Susan. You bring up a good point. When I went to Hockey Helps the Homeless tournament this past year and even last year, we get a buffet range of skills. The teams that we play against, it's like they're out to kill to win. And we're just out to play to have fun. And if we win, that's great. Then all of a sudden, the one game, we got a little bit nasty and we almost won that game. I think we tied.
Yeah.
And so what was the story in the dressing room? Our captain stood up and he goes, "We need to be nastier on the ice." I'm listening, going, and I know the pros that were there, and they're like, "No, that's not what we need to do." But maybe this is what's going on in my women's league for that one team. I don't want them to go there.
So here's a bit of hope.
Okay.
My son and I go out to Shinny. We went a lot in the winter.
Mm.
Towards the winter, my skating got to be good enough that he said, "Come and play with me. Come and play with me." There were two other boys on the ice, and they said, "Let's play 2-on-2." I'm going, "Oh my goodness." All right, all right. They put my son and I on different teams and they tried to adjust it so it was a little bit fair. I could skate well enough, had no puck control. I only have one good arm, all sorts of stuff like that, but we had a good time. One of the boys, he really guided us in terms of having a good time because I was making my son mad because I was getting between him and the net. And he says, "You can't do that." So he just switched up. This is the other boys switch up the teams. So we didn't have to
Right.
do that. And there was something else that was happening. He would pass me the puck. And it's like, "What are you doing passing me the puck?" But he passed me the puck. That's how you play. There are kids who know how to do this. They're learning how to do this if parents will ever let them leave home and play with other kids on their own without supervision, right? These are really valuable life lessons.
Yeah, I think maybe my vision is to bring everyone together to play and be respectable. And maybe in my co-ed skills game, it's doable there because I control that. There is no win and losing. There still is. We play a game, but there is no championship. There is no medals. There is no nothing. There is no standings. There is no who scored the goals and assists. No stats are taken. In the women's league or other leagues, it's hard to get that because it is all about standings. It is all about wins, losses, ties, goals for, goals against, who's scoring, who's not scoring. That is that competitive league. So the women who really don't give a rat's ass whether they win or lose. Let me rephrase that. We all want to win. It's all in us. Like, I want to compete to win. But if I don't win, it doesn't matter. I'm with my friends. I had a good workout. And that is more important. That is my 1, 2, 3. Winning is down here, right? And the other two are more important. But it's interesting when you go out and you don't feel like you're competing, you're just circling, then yeah, I'm missing that part of competing still. And
Maybe I think that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Maybe that's what the younger women miss. They wish they had that.
So when they were coming out, the younger women, they are drawn to that. So that's why they play at that level. That's probably why I didn't want them in the league. To begin with. They just don't get it. So I think for me, where I'm going to move forward is really understanding my story. I do know it, but I need to have it like verbatim. And then number 2, I need to reach out to all the teams who I've red flagged with their players and say, these players are red flagged. I'm not kicking them off the team, but they need to take it back a notch or 2. It makes it really challenging.
Present it as an opportunity.
Okay.
Right? Okay, we play a little bit differently, and I want to challenge you to learn a different style of play, as opposed to you have to. You need to.
Say they go, I don't want to do that.
I would like to keep you. I'd like to have you around. But if this is not something that we can have a meeting of the minds on, then I don't know. Do you have a fallback plan? I don't really want to cut you off. I don't really want to.
It does say that I can execute the people out of the league if they don't fit the league.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go there. That's not where I want to go. As we had through our conversation, it's all about competitive and winning and creating these teams, and no one wants to be blown out.
I also think it's okay to let people go.
First. That's what I need to get first.
Yeah. I think it's okay to let people go.
Yeah.
Because it sends a message to the people left behind. When I've run my teams, I've asked people to leave a few times. It was really hard, but it was the best decision. Because the people who were not asked to leave, but were with the program. They understood the vision and they were working
Mhm.
together. They were collaborative. It was hard and they were not happy. When we asked these people, I had 3 different occasions where we asked people to leave.
Mm.
The team was so happy afterwards. And you don't have to do it often, but it
Mhm.
shows that it is possible to cross the line and you will do something about it.
And that is a wrap. Susan, I thought this session was amazing. I
Yeah.
know I learned something, and it was good for me to communicate or chat with someone like yourself. Because you know what? It's too hard to sometimes to solve it on your own when
Yeah.
you're in your head as a coach.
Yeah.
You need to get it out of your head and throw it out there and really speak with someone that you trust that will give you feedback, not the nodding feedback or yeah, or just cut them all. And that's not
Yeah.
what I'm here for. We're here to try to grow the league in a way that's fun to play. And you're always going to have problems. If you don't have problems,
Always.
then
Always.
you're not living. But it's the people that are super emotional and that, okay, I understand. Here's the story. This is where we're going to try and do. Will you help me work towards a solution? And just keep going that way. This has been great.
Nice.
I've really enjoyed it today, Susan.
Yeah. It was different for me too, because usually I'm asking you questions.
I know, and I understand your background a little bit. I think it was very good bantering back and forth
Yeah.
on how we can work something out. If we just keep talking and trying to find a solution, I'm not saying that this is the concrete solution, but obviously we get to something that works a
Yeah.
lot better than just speaking from the iron fist or,
Yeah.
but yeah, having a good story, a
Yeah.
real story, an honest
Yeah.
story, one from the heart.
Yeah.
Mhm. Susan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much
Yes.
for being so
You,
patient today. You're wonderful always.
oh, you're welcome. Glad I was able to be here for you.
Hey, I'm here for you too if I can do
Yeah.
anything. But hey,
Every week.
every week.